Welcome to the Best Sports Betting Podcast, where we'll talk about reviews, previews, tips and all things betting related. Brought to you by bestsportsbetting.co.za. Now, on to our hosts.
Hi guys, welcome back to Best Sports Betting Podcast, episode number 17, brought to you by PlayerBet, playerbets.co.za. Guys, remember to gamble responsibly. Just want to get that message across before we get stuck into the podcast. Simon, back with me as usual, my partner in crime. Good weekend there, Simon?
Yes, thank you, Rob. Yeah, how was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty good. It was probably one of the most profitable weekends in the last while, even though I did pick a few losers. But I enjoyed the rugby, and I can't really complain about the Super Rugby finalists that we've got.
Yeah, good to hear. And obviously very great that the Lions progressed after a huge comeback, one of the biggest in Super Rugby for sure.
I thought that game was done at halftime, to be honest. They were down, what was it, 22-3 or 20 or something like that. Yeah,
it was up until 30, half an hour in, it was 22-3, and then they obviously came back and scored the try before half time. But yeah, 22-3 after 30 minutes to the Hurricanes.
Yeah, and I was on the Hurricanes. I did have that as my best bet, and I'm not going to say it. I should have won or anything like that, but they threw that game away. A couple funny decisions, and I'm saying all of this in defense of my bet. I'm not saying it from a objective perspective. It's very, very subjective. But credit to the Lions, and I said on the YouTube videos that I'm very glad to see that they are in the final. We've got a South African team in the final. They put in a world-class second half display. So there's not really too much I can critique from them other than that absolute shit show of a first half. And Yankees, I've given the Oak a hard time, but he showed up in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. And they made some good changes, and that second half was phenomenal. And a home final at that, which I think might just make all the difference on the weekend.
I think it will. And I've been reading quite a bit about the final, and they talk a lot about the altitude and that New Zealand sides get worn down after about 50, 60 minutes and they start breathing heavily and whatnot. But these are professionals, so they should be conditioned to that. I'm not sure how much of a factor that will play. But home ground advantage, the tickets are all sold out. So anyone looking to buy tickets, they're gone. I read this morning, those tickets are fully sold out, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's brilliant news.
Whereas if you look at the Crusaders Chiefs game, that stadium was half empty. So
it was. I noticed the same thing, Rob. I actually couldn't believe that. Did you catch any of that game?
I did. I was on the 1-12 Crusaders, and no, the Crusaders are just too good for the Chiefs. Nothing more I can say there. I don't want to say I was on the right side, but I wasn't going to take the Crusaders -7. It just wasn't going to happen. And it actually moved out to 8, so not interested.
Yeah, look, that's I did have a winning. That was my best bet there. But I must say, although I was on the right side there, I thought the Chiefs played much better than the 27-13.
Yeah, they just couldn't get over the scoreline, and when they did, they knocked it on.
Well, look, I mean, when the Crusaders went 10-0 up in very early days in the first couple minutes, and the Chiefs then had a disallowed try for supposed knock-on, which did look a bit suspect to me. And there were a couple of other dodgy calls which went the way of the Crusaders. But I think this is a dominant theme of the season. The Crusaders have always made it count when it matters most.
Yeah.
And despite Aaron Cruden and Daniel McKenzie trying to make life very difficult for them, they just couldn't get over the line. And I think that does prove just how good they are. And I think on another day against another team, the Chiefs might well be playing in the final. But Crusaders did everything they can to overcome them. And
it was a big ask for the Chiefs to travel from New Zealand to Cape Town and back to New Zealand to play. But credit to them. I think they had a great season. I'm definitely excited for them next season. I think they'll be a contender as well. And as I said last week, if you're getting 5-2 on the Lions, if you like the Lions, take some of that because it's now even money for them to win the final. So you can trade that off, guaranteed profit by taking the Crusaders at 9-10. So
yeah, it seems to be an absolute pick'em. It does vary from book to book, but the Crusaders open slight favourites, but now I see a little bit of money has come for the Lions, and a lot of books are now it's 1.85 or 1.9 or whatever the margin is basically on either side.
Yeah, I was looking at World Sports Betting this morning. because I got a nice little free bet from them.
Yes, so did I.
Yeah, so I'm actually quite surprised. I'll get into that a bit later, but they've got the game at 9-10 on the Lions, and 9-10 on the Crusaders, and even money on the Lions. So it's basically a pick'em. No point taking the handicap on either of those, if you ask me. It's just not worth it. I don't think it'll be a 1-point game.
No,
but
sure not.
yeah, so good weekend of semi-finals. One thing I do want to say is that I saw a couple complaints about this, and I tend to agree that the Lions had a South African ref, a South African linesman, and a South African TMO in their home semi-final, which I don't think is the best idea from the Super Rugby Union, or
no, no, neither do I. I honestly don't believe that he was particularly biased in that game at all. But I think it's just don't open yourself to criticism in that.
Yeah, it's just unnecessary. And then there was that yellow card at the end, and I don't think it had that big a bearing on the game, but it was just a unnecessary yellow card. I mean, back-catching the ref. Come on, the guy's playing in a semi-final. He's going to be full of emotions.
Yeah.
The ref's going to be feeling under pressure, and I just think it was completely unwarranted. Look, I don't know if there were several warnings before that point, but if there were, then I'll take it back. But as it stands, I think that was a bit harsh.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
All right, then let's talk about the Protea Fire getting a bucket of ice-cold water dunked all over it.
Sherbet, yeah. Look, I mean, they absolutely collapsed in the third test against England, and now they have the fourth test. They're going to need a win that just to draw the series. But just talk about that innings.
Batting is always that lets us down.
Sherbet, I've never seen so many soft dismissals in a single innings.
I mean, a Moeen hat-trick. Moeen Ali hat-trick, not Moeen hat-trick Ali. Yeah, look, it was dead at that stage, but
yeah, look, I mean, de Kock tried to attack an in-swinging Yorker from Stokes.
So I just thought he does all he knows what to do is attack.
I just couldn't believe it. I mean, he got bowled an absolute gem, and he tries to play it away. He should have just blocked that ball. And then Faf comes in after him and doesn't offer a shot at a well-pitched ball as well, which hits him on the pads. And the umpire has no choice.
No, he has to give him out.
But to give him out, because he hasn't offered a shot. So yeah, I mean, I really hope they can redeem themselves in the fourth test. But obviously the series is not there for the taking anymore. But that was really dismal.
Yeah, look, I think a draw away would be a good result for South Africa.
Yeah, sure.
Look, we aren't the tier side we were a couple of years ago. But, it would still be a fair result. I just think it's going to be a big task to bounce back from that loss. And going back to de Kock, I mean, 10 years ago, AB de Villiers came onto the scene, and I used to call him all or nothing AB, because he would literally go all out or do nothing. And we've got de Kock, who's seemed to be going on a very similar career trajectory as de Villiers. Hopefully he turns out as good as de Villiers. Look, he's a good batsman, but he needs to take a look at some of these wild shots. I mean, you pitch the ball wide and a little bit short to him, and he's going to be cutting at it, and he's going to be swinging at it. He's not going to leave it, and he's going to edge those all day, every day. So
exactly. No, it's a test match. I mean, that has to be considered, and you can't be going guns at Yorkers, which obviously pitch right up to your wickets like that, and expect not to be dismissed.
Yeah, you can block. There's no shame in blocking. If you don't like the bowler and he's got the better of you, just block him out for the over, and then wait for his spell to finish. But,
absolutely.
So moving on to football, we had a nice winner there with America winning the Gold Cup.
Yes.
Had America on the handicap, and they ended up winning quite comfortably.
You're right, John. Anyone who followed, I did post an outright preview for the Gold Cup, and America was my tip there. So hopefully some followers on the Player Bets blog also got on there.
Yeah, and then I also had Benfica against Arsenal in the Emirates Cup. I had Arsenal -1 at Arsenal and both teams to score at 33-20. Cracking price for a preseason friendly, especially when Arsenal playing at home. And they won 5-2. So, very, very easy win for us there. Look, I did say small stakes, preseason friendly and all. So I'm quite happy with that. And just going back to World Sports Betting, which I mentioned earlier. Now, I've been moaning about this click a bet withdrawal situation that has been resolved. And just to put it in perspective, I deposited 8,000 Rand, and I will talk amounts now. I put in 8,000 Rand in World Sports Betting on Sunday for the Currie Cup game. I put it on the Cheetahs. Put it on Cheetahs half time, full time. I won. I ended up withdrawing on Monday, yesterday, 27 odd thousand rand. It was in my account this morning. Now,
that's brilliant.
You tell me, I don't want to say I'm speechless, but I mean, other bookies, please listen to this and just take note that I guess who I'm depositing at next. That money's going to go straight back to World Sports Betting. They paid it out the next day. There's trust there, and you can say what you want. You can call me a World Sports Betting fanboy. I know they've got the issues. They limit accounts, blah, 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 whatever. Everyone does that. But, if you get that kind of service, you're going to stick with the book. So, I'm not saying I'm a loyal, well, I am a loyal customer. I'm not saying I'm the biggest fans, but, credit to them for that. So, just to put it in perspective, you've got one end of the spectrum with ClickerBet and the other end of the spectrum with World Sports Betting. All right. So let's call that, I don't want to call it a rant of the week. Let's call it a little praise of the week or something like that.
Sure.
So Premier League football's around the corner, Simon. And there's a big match that they have. I don't want to call it a pre-season match. I find it a bit of a not too serious cup. Community Shield.
Look, I mean, I guess it's probably, you could call it a little bit more serious than the other pre-season matches.
Yeah.
It depends on who's viewing and where it is in the world. But it's the Community Shield match, which is between the Premier League champions and the FA Cup champions.
But is it really a trophy? That's the question.
Well, it's a shield.
Yeah, but I mean, does it count as silverware in your cupboard? So when they're looking at Wenger at the end of the season, I won the Community Shield. It's sitting in a cabinet.
I think you might need the Community Shield come the end of the season.
yeah, to stop all the tomatoes being thrown at him from the crowd. Yeah, so your thoughts on that? It's Chelsea against Arsenal. I think it's a big match.
So Chelsea Arsenal. So it's obviously the Premier League champions being Chelsea and the FA Cup winners being Arsenal. Chelsea are favourites. Their odds at 11 to 10, so that's 3.1.
11 to 10. Wow. Okay.
Well, Arsenal are 23 to 10, so 3.3. Now, I certainly think that Chelsea are a little bit short here for a pre-season game, especially at a neutral venue, which is obviously
at Wembley. Yeah,
they're playing at Wembley. Yeah, so instead of backing Arsenal here, though, I really like the draw here. I don't think there are going to be too many goals in this game, and I think that there's definitely value in the draw here for small stakes at 5 to 2, so that's 3.5.
That's a 90-minute draw. That's
a 90-minute draw.
Do they go straight to penalties there, or do they play extra time in the Community Shield?
No, they will play extra time and penalties if needs be. Yes.
Okay.
That would be a 90-minute draw. So yeah, look, I'm not confident on Arsenal winning this game, but I certainly think they can scrape a draw here, and I think that there's definitely value in. I just couldn't back Chelsea at 2.1 at 11 to 10 there. So I like the draw there at 3.5, and that would definitely be my best bet of that match.
Okay, well I actually quite like Chelsea there. Now Arsenal haven't. Look, it's pre-season stuff. They won the Emirates Cup even though they lost against Sevilla. But that's the Emirates Cup for you. Look, they did lose 3-0 to Chelsea in a friendly, which is something I am going to take into account. So they've definitely got a one-up. But then again, Arsenal are going to want revenge for that friendly loss. Maybe not too seriously, but I just you think the price is a bit short? Well, I think it's a great price. It's a neutral venue. I think 12 to 10, which is what I'm looking at the moment, is or 11 to 10 is pretty generous. I would actually have Chelsea at less than even money for this match. So
yeah, look, I think if this match was at Stamford Bridge,
yeah.
it would probably be priced at about 1.95, so maybe 19 to 20. I think obviously, so it is slightly bigger than that, bigger than a neutral venue. I don't think that there's any value in blues there, but I guess we beg to differ. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, I mean, to put it in perspective, look, Arsenal do have a fairly good record against Chelsea. They won the last Community Shield, if I remember correctly. It was about 2 years ago. They beat Chelsea 1-0.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I can't quite remember that game, but I remember the result. They beat Chelsea in the FA Cup. So they beat them once in the league a year or two ago. So look, they've got a decent record against them.
Their record, Chelsea's record against Arsenal has kind of changed quite a bit.
Iffy, yeah.
It's been very much back and forth over the last 5 or 6 matches. But before that, Arsenal actually did have a fairly strong record against Chelsea. But it's kind of been back and forth of late. But I just think a preseason game, I just think that it's dodgy to take a heavy favourite in a closely on paper has to be a closely contested match. So I just like the draw there. I think that.
But just looking at some historical data, I'm just looking at some of the head-to-heads between the two, and there haven't been too many draws. So you are getting a good price on the draw there. So I'm going to be backing Chelsea. So I guess those that think Simon's got some value there, then go with a draw. And I'll be backing Chelsea. There's no value on the both teams to score. It's 15 to 20 or 1.6 or it's pretty bad. So I definitely won't be going there. But I quite like Chelsea there. I think they're going to have a pretty good season. And next week we're going to be breaking down some Premier League long-term bets. So guys, you should keep an eye out. It is posted on the site. It's a great article by Simon. It's broken down every single team. So we'll be talking about that on the next podcast. But let's get to the big one, Simon. You know what I'm talking about. It's the Super Rugby final, Lions Crusaders. What are your thoughts straight off the bat?
Yeah, sure. This is a really, really, really tricky one to call. If you'd asked me this 3 weeks ago, I would have said without a shadow of doubt Crusaders. Obviously, look, it's very easy, especially when it comes to the kind of the business end of tournaments like this, to kind of just look straight at the previous match and make some judgments. But I think, it's obviously great that the Lions have managed to secure themselves a home final. And I think this is going to be this really might make the difference in the end.
This is the best chance for a South African team to win win the title in a while.
I did expect the Crusaders to go in as marginal favourites, which they did. I see there has been a little bit of money for the Lions now, which have kind of pushed that to pick 'em sort of 9 to 10 on each side. Yeah. So I think, it's hard not to be excited about the Lions after the way they played on Saturday. And I mean, obviously, the Crusaders won last week. If you are going to look at last week's matches in particular, they could have that game against the Chiefs. They certainly were not as dominant as the Lions were, but then again, the Lions also came back from almost a near or an almost certain loss
from death.
So look, the Crusaders are the biggest price they've been all season. So that's another way to look at it, people who want to back the Crusaders, I guess this is the best value you're going to get on them. But I don't know. I'm not confident to part with my hard and cash on this game in terms of a winner.
Yeah, it's a final, so you never want to get overly involved. My money's going to be heading towards the Currie Cup, if anywhere else. I'm not going to be betting too much on this final, but it's a big final. Everyone's talking about it, so we do have to take a side.
Sure. I think if I had to pick a side, I would back the Crusaders. I know I spoke earlier about the home comforts making all the difference for the Lions, but I think it's going to be a nervy encounter, and I think the Lions are going to do more running with the ball, right? I think the Crusaders have a far better defense. Than the Lions than the Hurricanes, and certainly the Lions. So I don't think there's going to be many points, and I think that the fact it'll be a low-scoring game will play into the hands. Well, this is what I think will be a low-scoring game. Will play into the hands of the Crusaders, and I think that'll get them over the line. So I think I like the unders in this game. I don't know what the line will be set at, but I think that this is going to be a low-scoring game, and I think it might, considering the two teams are quite attacking prowess, will be set quite high. So I'll be definitely looking to see what that line is and look at the under there.
Okay, I also agree with you on the under, but I'm on the Crusader side. So just to make a bet or be forced to choose one, I'll definitely be going with the Crusaders.
Yes,
it's more of a fact that I don't want to bash the Lions, but the Lions have been blowing hot and cold. And I'd rather trust a team that's been blowing hot all season than trust a team that's been blowing hot and cold. Even though they've got the home field advantage, let's be honest, the Crusaders have got that pedigree about them.
They do.
They've got the better players on paper. It's going to be a good game, and I actually hope that the Lions win. I'd love nothing more than a South African side to win. And the Lions are a real Cinderella story. They were playing against the Kings in a relegation game 3 years ago. So 2013. So it's been a massive turnaround for that franchise. And the only good thing about South African rugby at the moment as well. So I'm hoping that they win, but I don't see it happening. If I was forced to take a bet, I'd go with Crusaders. I like your unders. If it comes out at about 45, which I'm expecting. Kind of like under that. And I like Crusaders 1-12. Also, because it's probably going to be a very close game, I like the first points to be scored to be a penalty. And I think you'll get around 15-10 on that. You'll probably get those closer to kick-off. But I think that's where I'll also be having a little stab. So that's Anything else about the final that?
Yeah, no, I'm in full agreement there. I said if I had to pick it, it's going to be a real tight one. But at least on paper it should be. But I definitely also picked the Crusaders there now. But I say I've got obviously I haven't seen the line yet, but I've got a more of a lean towards the unders. But Crusaders definitely the side to pick there if I was forced into taking a bet.
All right, and then we've got some Curry Cup action. Did you catch any of the Curry Cup games on the weekend, Simon?
I didn't. I did actually take a bet on Griquas for 6.5, which came in.
Snuck in, eh?
It did sneak in, but I didn't catch it.
I was on the Lions minus 5.5. I'll have you know. Was it 4.5? I lost by half a point.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not too happy.
The early 6.5 there. Yeah.
Missed the late conversion, bastards. But yeah, we've got 3 Curry Cup matches this weekend. We've got the Sharks against the Griquas. We've got the Province against the Pumas and Blue Bulls against the Golden Lions. All heavy favourites, all the home sides. There's not too much value to be had. I think the Sharks are going to murder the Griquas. You'll probably be back in the Griquas on the plus, Simon.
Oh, I don't know. Like Super
10.5? Come on.
Super Rugby season's over now. So I think the joy in backing teams which obviously have a schedule with which coincides with Super Rugby are over. So, but I will be actually writing previews on those games for player bets. So keep an eye out on the blog.
So check out Simon's previews. You'll have his opinions there. Me myself, Sharks was probably going to stay away. Province, the spread's a little bit too high for my liking. It's 17.5. So, and they're probably going to smash them, but I'm not too sure there. And then Bulls versus Lions, I quite like the Bulls minus 8.5 there. The Bulls have been pretty decent. They have played some quality Curry Cup rugby. I'm not going to write them off. They should be a lot better in the Curry Cup than they are in the.
Sure.
They were in the Super Rugby.
Super Rugby, yeah.
Look, they did sneak past the Griquas, but they were playing away from home. But look, they've been playing a lot better than they started the Super Rugby season with. So I'll be backing them on 8.5, and I'll be staying away from the other match, which is Present Province Pumas for now. that is.
Yeah, just on the outrights in the Curry Cup, I see.
Cheetahs.
I don't remember the exact odds, but Cheetahs win, and Cheetahs obviously your favourites, and they were the last year's champions. But I can't remember the exact odds on the Sharks, and obviously it's early days now. But I've got a feeling that they're gonna go far in this tournament, and. I think if I remember correctly, there was 6 or 7 to 1 when I looked last.
I'll pull that up for you now.
Yeah, let's have a look. But I definitely see some value in the Sharks there. I think obviously look, they were very unlucky to lose to the Lions in the Super Rugby quarterfinal, and I think that they can definitely take their momentum which they were gathering towards the end of the Super Rugby season into the Curry Cup, and I wouldn't be surprised if they made a good push.
Yeah, I just wonder how many players are going to be off for the upcoming internationals. I mean, they're going to be playing in a couple of weeks, so that is something just to consider. Sure. I think they start on the 19th of August, so it's about 2.5 weeks from now, 3 weeks really.
Yeah.
I don't see any prices up for the outrights on the Curry Cup, which is quite strange. I haven't looked too far, I've checked 2 sites, but
it's normally only when the matches are happening that they take the prices off. But I think it was 6 to 1 that I saw on the Sharks that I looked through. Yeah.
I mean, it's a Curry Cup, anything can happen, so you're getting good value there. So, I mean, not too much to talk about other than that. We've got Betting Babe August, which is up, which is brought to you by Moby Bets, and it's quite a good looking lady. I don't know if you had a look there, Simon.
I haven't yet.
Ooh, in for a treat, eh? Got her in a little portable pool in the garden. With a little water pistol, spraying herself down with some water. Keeping herself cold in winter, of course. That's how we like to do it. All right, so best bet for the week, Simon. Anything that you confident enough to call on?
Yeah, look, I think I got to head to the rugby just because it's such an exciting game here, and I haven't seen the line yet, of course, and you'll probably see the first being posted probably only on Thursday or so. But I think that no matter what this line gets set at, I think it's going under with Lions Crusaders. So that would be my best bet. If I had to pick a side there, as I said, I would take the Crusaders, but I'm not overly confident on that. But as you said, I think the line will come out sort of between 42 and 45, and I think the under will be a good bet there.
Okay, and I'm going to be going with the Crusaders for my best bet. It's not a very confident best bet. Look, I've been going against the Lions quite a lot recently, and it hasn't really panned out. So, it's just me knowing that they aren't the side that they seem to be. Look, they are quality. I don't know if they're going to be up for a final. I mean, we saw what happened against the Sharks. The Sharks are 3 steps behind the Crusaders.
You got to consider that that how much they've actually put into the game against the Hurricanes. I mean, the Crusaders, although as I said, I mean, I think that I wouldn't say they were unlucky to win because they weren't. They were the better team, but the Chiefs certainly put it on against them, and they certainly didn't have a semi-final as tough as the Lions did. So of course they're traveling and they are going to play away, and the Lions will be in front of their home team, but they've definitely had an easier time of it to get going into this final than the Lions have. Yeah,
I completely agree. And, there's a market that does pique my interest a bit, and will there be a drop goal? It's 2-1 for yes. So, I'll be having a little sprinkle on that, just as a bit of a prop interest. You never know when the matches get really tight.
Yeah, exactly as you say, especially if you're expecting a tight game, which is, more than likely going to be within a sort of 5-point margin. That obviously increases the likelihood of that happening.
Yeah, all right. So thanks for coming on, Simon, and I'll see you next week. We will be chatting a bit more about the Premier League. Let's hope that we get some winners this week. And thanks for coming on, guys. Don't forget to like us.
Thank you very much.
Oh, welcome. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Check out our YouTube channel, Best Sports Betting South Africa. Post up videos there every now and again. And then check out our August Betting Babes, brought to you by Moby Bets. Guys, have a good one. Cheers.
Thank you for listening. And don't forget to visit our site, Facebook and Twitter pages. Let's go make some money.